I'm a K-12 educator, which in other countries, the grading system is done differently, but this is about age 6 to age 18. And then an adjunct professor at a local community college. And as of next semester, it'll be a second college in the area. I've been a writer for over 20 years and a creative. I also do sculpture, a lifelong learner. And as those of you who are in teaching professions, you always have to be lifelong learners, especially. However, I believe everyone should be a lifelong learner. I am a wife, a gardener, and an advocate of environmental issues, LGBTQIA, and definitely a feminist or an advocate for women. So that's just a little bit about me. Now let's move on to my quote. So in the description of my class, I put up a quote. Creative thinking is the mental processes leading to a new invention, solution, or synthesis in any area. A creative solution may use pre-existing elements, but creates a new relationship between them. Products of creative thinking include, for example, new machines, social ideas, scientific theories, and artistic works. Just remember that this is, the first part is creative thinking. So you don't necessarily have to equate it to writing. For instance, scientists think creatively, mathematicians think creatively, think about the science that is theoretical. That is all creative thinking. Math that is theoretical, creative thinking. So it does not have to be in a humanities subject in order for it to be creative thinking. So creative thinking may feel like a superpower reserved only for a creative person. Thankfully, creative geniuses aren't the only ones who can have innovative ideas. At its core, creative thinking is intentionally gaining new insights and different ideas through existing information. Often, creative thought involves tapping into different styles of thinking and examining information from different viewpoints to see new patterns. Anyone can foster a creative mind with some practice, which is what we'll be doing today. Using a wide variety of brainstorming strategies can help you discover new solutions for issues in every area of your life, including at work. In fact, 61% of employees say they're expected to come up with creative ideas or new ways to do things at work. But with only 30% of employees saying they're given time to think or discuss new ideas daily, it's becoming increasingly important to develop our creative thinking muscles. So basically, this means what I kind of already talked about, that everyone is thinking creatively every day. And even when we don't think it's creative, it is. For teachers, it's a new way to connect to our students. For economics, somebody said economics at one point, I can't remember who, I'm sorry. How they think people are going to change the economy. What are ways to change the economy? So you do not have to be in one specific field to think creatively. Now they talked about different types of, the benefits of creative thinking. You have 4 main benefits: improved problem solving capabilities. So whenever you get a problem thrown at you, think out your creative self or find your creative self and start just spitballing is what we call it. Spitballing means just putting everything out there and see what sticks, see what is the best idea for everyone. Stronger interpersonal connections. So you can figure out what's going to work for everyone. Everyone brainstorms, and then finally one person says, okay, that's a great idea, and everyone agrees. So you need to talk to everyone about that. This comes to heightened productivity because you have found new ways to do things. So you shortcut things. You are able to sidestep problems, things like that. A higher self-awareness. Now I put exactly what this means because I think this was a little vague. So creative thinking allows you to try on new perspectives that you may not have considered before. As you're exploring new perspectives, you may discover something about your own assumptions, viewpoints, or biases that you never noticed. Challenging your traditional way of thinking can offer higher self-awareness and build your emotional intelligence. With creative thinking, you strengthen your ability to reframe your perspective and harness a growth mindset. Now, as a teacher, growth mindset is a very big deal. If you do not know what growth mindset is, it is thinking about what has failed and moving past that. And that's just a very short explanation. For instance, and I tell all my students this because I believe it helped shape me. The first time I went away to college, I failed out. Now I could have wallowed in self-pity and decided that college was not for me. However, I did do some of that, but I decided I knew where I had failed and I wanted a degree. So I then just reshaped myself, went back to school, and ended up with my master's eventually. When you make a mistake, when you fail at something, it does not mean you cannot get through it. It means that you need to, again, think creatively from a new perspective, from figuring out what went wrong, things like that. People who are self-aware and have growth mindset are more likely to be more persistent in things. So this is something that I always want you to have, a growth mindset. There are different ways of thinking, and we're only going to touch upon the red today, but I wanted to show you all of the different ways of thinking. So divergent and convergent thinking are the most common ways to foster more creative thought. Divergent, like a traditional brainstorming session, which we'll come up with, where you come up with as many possible solutions as your imagination will allow. The world isn't always black and white, black or white. A divergent thinker keeps the options open. So keeps the gray part open. Whereas convergent is the opposite. It's a more logical approach, encouraging you to gather facts and discover the most common solution to a problem. These strategies are frequently used to conjure new creative solutions. Convergent thinking only considers the world as black and or white with no other possibilities. So convergent is good in some aspects if you're looking for something more specific. However, you want a lot more divergent thinking. It's something that you will be able to help yourself if you think divergently throughout any profession, throughout anything you do. Then you have inspirational thinking. This focuses on imagining the best case scenarios to find a new way to solve a problem. You can do it! It gives you new ideas and feels a strong feeling of enthusiasm and excitement. So for instance, you see the inspirational quotes all over the place. They're meant to make you feel like you can push through and do something. So we're gonna touch upon inspirational thinking a little bit. Lateral thinking involves letting ideas flow in a step-by-step format. So for instance, you are supposed to write how to put together a ladder. And you are told you're going to write the directions step by step. This is lateral thinking, and we need that as well for certain scientific things, certain mathematic things, even in creative writing. There is step-by-step in some creative writing. The writing process is a step-by-step format. However, it goes into a lot of divergent and aesthetic thinking. Aesthetic thinking focuses on reframing a problem to see its inherent beauty and value. Like looking at painting, this type of thinking involves producing or discovering things which are pleasant, harmonious, and beautiful to our senses. It is an ancient form of thinking within us humans and can be learned by anyone. So anything you think is beautiful that someone else may not think. Hold on, I'm just grab a glass of water. My glass of water. So this is our first creative writing exercise. I want you to choose 10 of these words, and then step 2, brainstorm to think of a character using those 10 words. So let's do 5 minutes. And if you have chosen your 10 words, you can go ahead to the second step. That way you have a little more time in that second step. So for instance, if you used mathematician, you want to say, Johnny was a mathematician who always liked to do everything by the book. However, one day he discovered that he was also good at painting. So you need to dig deep sometimes.
I was thinking that I should think of a character for all these 10 words, or I should think of one character for each word.
No, one character using all the words.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sorry if I wasn't more clear about that. One character for all the words. And if anyone ends up finishing what they think is a good character, go ahead and put it up in our chat, please. And I'm giving a quick sample of these 3 different types of thinking that I would really do a whole hour on. I just wanted you guys to see how we can do different types of thinking with creative writing. So don't worry if you can't come up with the entire character, because we are doing this kind of rapid fire. So we're going to bring that character into inspirational thinking. So inspirational quote: when you have a dream, you've got to grab it and never let go. So this was Carol Burnett. What does this mean to you? And what would it mean to your character? So write a scene with your character and them reacting to this quote. So your character walks up to a sign, it says this. What does it mean to them and what does it mean to you? Unfortunately, I don't think that we have time for you to write what it means to you. Just go ahead and think about what it means to you and then put it to your character. So just go ahead and write a 3 or 4 sentences on how your character is going to react to this quote. Again, when you have a dream, you've got to grab it and never let go. And your character can be negative towards this. So it depends on what character you are creating. So is your character sarcastic and doesn't believe in inspirational thinking? Do they think it's too cheesy? Or are they someone who this really affects them? So that character that you've already thought of, what does this mean to them? And the good part about creative writing is you can explore characters that would do things you would never do. So for instance, if you were writing a mystery, you might have a serial killer in your mystery. Obviously, you are not a serial killer. However, you would think about how that character would do things. It gets you creative thinking because you have to think outside the box of your thinking. We are, hopefully all of us are inherently good. I believe that most humans are. However, you do have those people who just are a little odd in the head, I'll put it nicely, and they would do things that you would never even dream of doing because they are evil. So you have to think about how someone evil would think. So remember, we are working on one character. So those of you who have given me things like knowledge is power, different culture gives us various kinds of knowledge. Pick one of those people that you are looking at here as your character. So the painter, the mathematician, who are you going to choose as your character? Good, Mary. So Mary, I'm going to use you as an example because I think you did a great job here. So Mary's character, and she put her own name, but this is the character Mary, not our student Mary. As a teacher, Mary needs to get a hold of her profession. She can do bigger things as a teacher and change the world through her profession. So those bigger, better things, having a dream and never letting go, that would be her character Mary here. Does anyone else have a quote that, or a couple sentences for their character about this quote? I will go into, I have a lot of books because I'm an English teacher and a writer. Pick up a book, point at a random page, and pick a word in that random page. And I'll do that several times until I have a variety of words. That will help me think and break a certain amount of writer's block. So I couldn't come up with something just out of the blue. I'm going to try to get myself to do some writing exercise. One question was how, that I got just before we started, is how do we break that writer's block? How do we get ourselves to think beyond that block of something? One way you can do it, so you are trying to come up with, for instance, a marketing plan. You have been staring at your computer for an hour. You can do a couple of things. You can, one, do this divergent exercise using a book about marketing or about the theme that you are trying to go with, and go through and try to get yourself thinking about that theme. Sometimes you just need to step away from the computer, because that is a refreshing thing. Your block is you are too hyper focused on it. So what you need to do is say, okay, I need to walk away and do something that's not the market, creating this marketing plan. So you get up, you go do the dishes. Maybe you get inspiration, maybe you don't. But when you come back, you're not as frustrated. When you have frustration, you get blocks. And that is in everything. Those of you who are teachers, this really works for your students too. So if they have a block, tell them to do the same thing. Step away from the computer. And this is if they're writing a paper. Step away from the computer, go do something, come back. We call this looking at it with fresh eyes. That will help you sometimes. Sometimes you need to think about doing things in steps. So your student is having trouble with this page of math. You say, don't look at as a whole page, look at question at a time. So you are doing this step by step to finish off the whole thing. Looking at it in that way, breaking things up into smaller portions will also help lots. And a third way of helping you as a writer, creative thinker, in any way is going out and walking in either nature, if you get inspiration from that, or if you're a people watcher, go in to a place where you're going to be around a lot of people. People watchers get ideas for characters more, but who's to say you can't go to, say, a market and look at a little kid and say, that's exactly what I want in my marketing plan. I want a superhero. So they're dressed as a superhero in my marketing plan. Inspiration. Or if you are someone who works on quiet, I suggest nature. I am a people watcher. I am an extrovert, which means I get all my energy from a lot of people. Introverts tend to get their creative energies from quiet places. So if you go and meditate in a forest, or go to a beach and just close your eyes and listen to the waves. Everybody is able to break through their blocks, but it depends on the way they learn. It depends on what they get their creativity from. So everyone has a dream and should grab it when getting a chance to fulfill it. Writer encourages people to fulfill their dreams. I have a dream to be a researcher. I want to do my PhD, and if I get full free scholarship, then I will grab the opportunity. Excuse me. So Tommy, if you were your character, so this is, I'm assuming you, think about your character. Is your character going to be a writer? Because you have the writer encourages people to fulfill their dreams. So are you talking about Carol Burnett, who said the quote? Are you talking about a character that is a writer? Or are you talking about yourself? But very good use of that quote. Then we have Stephen believes it is important as a cultural facilitator to be innovative and use technology to promote the culture he specializes in. He is amazed that he can share the different cultures he promotes through social media and receive much appreciation. Good. So, excuse me. The fact that his dream seems to be sharing cultures and not letting it go. Very, very good. Use the music in the background and one picture. So you're going to pick either the left or the right picture. Your character stops in front of one of these and starts to cry. Write a dialogue with another character where he or she explains the beauty in it.
Can I share one?
You may.
Okay. My character, I choose the second picture, and my character is Afghan girls. As you may know that today is the 15th August, the day that Afghanistan government collapsed and the Taliban took over the power. It's about 1 year that Afghan girls, they can't go to school, they can't go to university, they don't have work, and my character is Afghan girls who are struggling with lots of difficulties, with unclear future, with although they are so strong, the only people who had demonstration, they raised their voice, but Taliban have very bad behavior with them. They use guns, they bite them, and how can I say, you know, as Afghan girl that I ran away from Afghanistan and I'm right now in Bangladesh, I know what situation they're struggling with, what difficulties. They don't have any food. Everything is limited for them. Taliban don't see the girls as a human. They limit all the resources for the women. And my character was Afghan girls. They are the powerful girl in all the world.
Wow, that is awesome. Yes, I can definitely see that now that they have had that conversation, because those big towers in the back could be the Taliban, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so
they limit them.
definitely.
They make barriers in front of the women.
So that is so wonderful. I'm glad that you shared that. Yes, very powerful. Would anyone else like to share? Either by voice or by text? So Stephen, I am sad. Tony, why Stephen? You live a good life here. Stephen, I am sad because of culture loss, because of all the richness and uniqueness of ancient cultures that have disappeared. I'm sad because the work I do does not seem sufficient to stop the forces of westernization. And I see so many young people abandoning and demeaning their own culture. So I am going to assume that was the second picture as well.
Yes, sorry, my connection is not very good, but I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you. So that was the second picture?
Oh, good. Yes, that's the second picture. And there was a link to a video. I clicked on it and it showed someone crying also with a very sad melody.
Correct. So that was one of the reasons that I use the music, which is another reason, another way of helping yourself be unblocked. I use music for myself to unblock myself. That is another way for you to think in a different way. So if you want to have something sad, then play something sad. If you want to have something happy, play something happy. I write some fantasy stories. So I will take different music from fantasy video games or fantasy movies, and I will get myself in the mood for that fantasy way of thinking. So using aesthetic thinking helps a lot with other things. So very good. I'm very glad that you shared that you also looked at or listened to the video. So unfortunately, we have come to an end. I'm going to stop sharing. I have loved this class. I think that we had a lot of fun, at least I did. So if you are willing, I'm going to send out an email to you for a survey to see if you would take another class from me, to see what you thought of this class. We already have a survey. If you have not seen it, look in the chat, please. There is a survey there. I just would like to know what you thought. Does anyone have any questions before we close up? Saherah, did you have anything you'd like to add?
I'm really happy that I have joined this event. It's quite insightful and eye-opening, actually. I mean, we can think in so many ways for boosting up our creativity. So I have really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for giving us the time. And I also thank you all here, the participants, for giving your precious time to us. And I believe you have learned a lot, and be sure to apply it in your real life too, in your career and professional life. So thank you so much. So
Thank
I
you.
guess we are already in the end now. We are gonna close it, and be sure to fill this survey. I'm gonna give you 5 minutes time to fill that survey. I have given the link, and also please follow us in the social media and visit our website too. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Since we're on Facebook Live, I will say thank you very much to those who brought me on, and thank you very much for those coming. I just want to share creativity with everyone and show everyone that you don't have to be an English speaker or a literature person in order to think creatively. Everyone can think creatively. Dun, dun, dun.